Hey everybody, Bandicoot Commando here, and welcome back to Crash Twinsanity. Last time, we did it. We beat the game. And after I did that, I showed where the missing gems at Slip Slide Ice Capades are, and I went back to get them, obviously, and there it is. We have 100%. So today, I'm just going to talk about the game's many, many, many cut content and features and so on and so forth. I have with me not only get that. I have the Bandipedia page and the cutting room floor page of Twinsanity, so I have my notes and everything for that. And oh, it's going to be a long one. So much mental exhaustion. But here goes nothing. And I decided that what better place to end it than back where we started. So, let's begin with the extras here. The blue gem extras are just basically boss gallery concepts. So here's a render of, Mecca Bandicoot. Notice how... Oh, never mind. I was going to say, notice how his missile arm looks more like a hand, but I'm realizing it is basically a hand with missiles, but he didn't always look like that. Because as you can see in this early concept, instead of missiles, he had a drill instead. And he's attacking the village. That's for a later thing to explain. Here we have Tiki Mon, or the Tiki God, or Totem God, whatever you want to call it. Another concept drawing of the fight here. Uka Uka. And another concept drawing of the fight. Engine. Another concept of Engine and his pirate crew of rhinos and Rusty Walrus as his galley chef. We have Entrophy and Brio in his monster form. Another concept sketch of the two. It's strange how they treat Brio as part of the fight, even though he's more of an obstacle in the fight, but that's because he was meant to be fightable, but we'll get to that. We'll get to all that when the time comes. Dingle Dial. And another concept sketch of him. Madame Amberley. I love this sketch. I love this. Well, first of all, I'm noticing the shadow. Her shadow does not match what she's doing. Because she's holding a candle, and her shadow does not match that. And I also like how it shows young Cortex and Engine and Brio as kids. It's sad that Engine doesn't have a pet. Cortex has the twins, and Brio has his frog there, but Engine doesn't have a pet. The Mecca, the evil twins Mecca. I forgot the name. I think it's known as the Goliath Mecca. And another concept sketch of it. These are just cutscenes. The first 4 of them, though, are not cutscenes, but they're more like test animations. Bravo! Yeah, see, it's a test animation of the Goliath mech moving. I like the subtle screen shake effect. What was probably... Oh, don't do it. What was probably meant to have been an idle animation for Crash. What was also probably another idle animation for Crash and Cortex together. From movie 5 to 16, it's just the in-game cutscenes. You can always skip them whenever you need to. Okay, the green gem extras are enemies, both concept sketches and in-game models. It's strange that the seagulls are considered enemies, but you can get close to them, but you can't. They won't hurt you, really. I even tried to get them to touch me, but they always fly away. And the little monkeys that you encounter. These monkeys had a bit of a bigger role. Classic skunk enemies since Crash 1. I do love that sketch where it's smelling a flower and it's letting off its odor. The worm. Classic fly trap. And bats. That one bat where it's purple instead of white, those are a unique variant. The Tribesmen, along with Papu. I don't know why Farmer Ernest is considered an enemy, but if you do touch his model, it does hurt you. I think it means both enemies and NPCs in general, so Hermit Crab. And an unused tortoise enemy. This tortoise was used, but I'll get to that. The penguins. Notice they are textured differently. And the machine here, only the security camera one is used. The spiky robot one is never seen. Because they have in-game models, this at least implies that they were in the game at some point before they were removed. Like this piranha. And this shark. Rusty Walrus. Notice he's holding a knife, a butcher knife, in both the concept art and model. And a rhino pirate. The bear. Goofy face it's got there. The noble boar, as Cortex called them. Some insects from Boiler Room. The cockroach and the bigger one. The bigger one, though, is textured differently. Rats. What was probably an early model for the hall monitor, and if not the hall monitor, definitely an enemy student that was meant to be an enemy, along with this one from the Academy of Evil. They were no doubt either hall monitors or just enemies in general. The Zombot, as they are referred to. And the little rats. Zom rats, I guess I'll call them. I always like to interpret that these guys were Injin's pet. Because, as we see here, we have the Frankenstein frog, which is Brio's pet from the concept. And the robot janitor. These gargoyle enemies were meant to be on Rooftop Rampage, but we never encountered them. They were in an earlier build, though. And an standard ant droid. Jetpack ants. Fire-breathing ants. Drill ants. And the guard dogs from the Academy of Evil. Purple gems are just concept galleries. Here we have what is presumably an early scene from the game. It was probably originally meant to have been the well, maybe not the opening scene, but it was probably a scene to show that Cortex was able to thaw out from his ice block and he returns to his lair and he just sees his minions goofing off. They're not doing their job. They'd rather just do what they want to do. Some concept sketches of Tiny, looking more vicious than usual, and having a bit of a homage to his appearance from Crash 3. A nice concept sketch of Crash. And some I'm going to call renderings of different facial expressions he makes, even though he doesn't make all of these. A sketch of Mecha Bandicoot. Notice how he does not have his chainsaw arm. And another cool sketch for Crash. The knee pads are great. What was a concept sketch of the Doc Amok levels where you have to protect Cortex. A nice concept of the islands and areas you'd visit. See, in the final game, you only visit Insanity Island and the Iceberg Lab. Wampa Island and Cortex Island were never visited upon, but they were meant to. And also, you can notice off to the corner as well, you can see Engine's battleship, and he's got an airship too. That was important. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me go back to that. Oh, okay. I thought I noticed something that I never noticed. Concept sketch art of how the Tikimon fight would have worked, and although it's hard to see because of that dumb Crash Twinsanity logo, but Victor is in the corner there taunting them, but you can't see him that well because of that Crash Twinsanity logo blocking the way. Here we have Entrophy, Brio, and Engine, and Entrance. Now Entrance, for those of you who do not know, was from the Game Boy Advance Crash game Crash 2 Entrance, which was a sequel to Crash Bandicoot The Huge Adventure, also on Game Boy Advance. I have not done these games yet, and I probably will someday, but for now, leave it up into the air on whenever I will do them or not. But Entrance was meant to play a role until they decide to cut his appearance. Concept art of what is Iceberg Lab, and concept art of a segment from Cavern Catastrophe where you are on a conveyor belt. Concept of Slip Slide Icecapades, and then concept of the snowball rolling portion of it. Another concept of Icecapades where you're going through the KFC, Cortex KFC. I love how Uka and Aku have chickens in their mouths. And a nice sketch of Engine's battleship. The concept fight of fighting Brio's frog form. And a concept of Engine's battleship here. You were probably meant to be on deck instead of inside the ship. You were probably also were supposed to go outside at a point. Here we have a sketch of the boat that I talked about. The island tours. On the front of the ship where the face is, that is Kapu Kapu. He is a captain of the boat, and he was the one who would give Crash a ride. While he doesn't appear in the final game itself, it's possible that the voice where you approach the boat where he's like, "Come onto my boat, furry man," is implied to be him. Notice how Crash is spinning away fishes. This was part of an idea of a minigame, which I will explain at a different point. Here we have some unused icons. One of a pig, one of Coco on an ostrich, and that one with the little tribes boy running away from some bugs. Very important. We have a cut level. Was probably meant to be a bonus level of sorts, according to what I've read. Also notice the ostrich cave there in the back. It's known as the harbor level, I should also say. Here we have the interior of Cortex's airship. A concept sketch of Rooftop Rampage. And another sketch of Nina successfully able to retrieve the bus. This was an early concept of what the 10th dimension would have been. It was meant to be very grayscale and pretty negative, and I'm just noticing that that snake creature is eating up on Cortex. A concept sketch of evil crash. Concept of rock slide rumble. Here, a concept of a cut, basically Doc Amok level of sorts, known as Mock a Doc or the Rehab Lab. This would have involved something very important. Again, I will get to these at a later point. A sketch of Evil Crash's house. Notice how in the lower left corner, Coco is with Crash and Nina there, and that was because Coco was meant to have been a bigger role. A cut level, the tree level, where you would have climbed the tree of Wampa Island, and also Engine's battleship, or should I say airship, attacking Nina, because you could see Rusty Walrus hanging from the bottom there. This cut canyon level, this was part of either, I believe, the 10th dimension or elsewhere, but Cortex riding on his hoverboard with Crash trying to balance on him. And a sketch of young Cortex with his birds. I like to interpret this picture that instead of just being a sketch of this is what they look like, I like to think this was probably an idea of the original ending where Cortex ends up being turned into a kid again, but at least Victor and Moritz were devolved back into normal birds. Red Gem. These are cutscenes. These are just cutscene storyboards of the game, really. Sleep. Clunk. Leap. Putting the little flower on his Coco disguise. Crash, there's something weird going on at the bay. Come see. And here we see the storyboard of having to body slam the worms. Alley-oop? It's true. Blondes do have more fun. Whop! I'm okay. The spikes broke my fall. Jungle Bungle. Surprised to see me, Crash. Like the fleas in your fur, I keep coming back. Yeah, I'm not going to do the whole transcript of this, but yeah, this is basically the birthday party, but the exact opposite, which would have led to the fight here. After being beaten, and no doubt being driven insane from being beaten again, that's when he summons Mecca Bandicoot. How was I, Engine? Defeating Mecca Bandicoot and causing it all to crash down, with both Crash and Cortex falling down and fall through the hole there. Surprising Dingo Dial, Kong, and Pinstripe. Lunch? I could go for some lunch myself. They fall through the hole, which brings up to Cavern Catastrophe. Cortex, frustrated and pissed off that he lost again, gets into a direct fight. I like how happy Crash looks as he's tackling him. This is where they discover, well, where Cortex gets the crystal. Well, well. A power crystal. That is such a good sketch. Wa-ding! And then the drill with the ants come up. After taking care of that, the crystal is mine. Keep back, you weak-minded fool! Avert your gaze, or you will go crystal crazy! Throw me over there. Trust me. We're pals, right? Totem Hokum, in which, after the cutscene of the twins introducing themselves, poor little Cortex is traumatized from that. You have to help me, Crash. You heard them. They want to destroy our island home, humiliate and enslave you, and steal my brain. How I envy the simple life of the tribesfolk. Living in harmony with Mother Nature, the noble boar, the humble bumblebee. Yeah! It gets bad for you with the beehive on your head, and it goes from bad to worse, and then that's when he bumps into Papu. Babagoshi. Can't reach the crystal while tied on the totem. And this is when you rescue Cortex. Ah! And this brings up the angry tribe. Attack! The Iceberg Lair. Where I like how oversized his hand looks on that bottom bit. And unfortunately, can't open the door because it's frozen shut. Bang, bang, bang. Follow me. I know another way. And here's a storyboard of the penguins demanding payment. The check bounced. Are you sure? Well, these past few years have been rather slow. Wrath of Cortex didn't do as well as we hoped, and... Fish? Okay, well, that's where it ends. And this is where they free Uka Uka. Free again! Mighty Uka Uka, who has released me from my icy tomb? My, can it be Crash and Cortex? I don't know whenever to kiss you or kill you. And that's when he forms his ice body. And this is when you defeat him. An evil greater than yours threatens to destroy this planet. I like a challenge. I accept. The Aku Uka brothers together again. Now this was animated. I've seen this before on, I think it was Fake Nina. By the way, Fake Nina, nice username. Fake Nina was a former developer at Traveler's Tales who worked on this game. He has a lot of concept to show, both animated and such. Keith Webb, I believe, is Fake Nina, if I remember correctly. And here with this scene, he's like, we did it! But Crash doesn't react the way that he hoped he would. The ice climb. They're in the laboratory. It's time to take action. It's probably for you. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Fools, you thought that these party toys could defeat us? We are the masters of the infinite dimensions, the power over reality itself, and of all the riches. Riches? Which brings up this weird moment where Entropy apparently was in the area and overheard the word riches. I say, riches? What are you? How many times have I told you about bringing up the riches? And once you defeat their ambush of androids, a curse on you, Crash Bandicoot, for interfering. Forget that I mentioned the riches. Which brings up to this. Dr. Cortex, what have you done? Who are these evil upstarts? I've ruined the lives of so many, I can't possibly remember. Such a big head, such a tiny brain. If we delivered him to the twins, perhaps they would spare us. But they'll kill me. That's a risk I'm willing to take. Crash, I've been like a father to you. I created you. I nursed you. I wanted to destroy you. A truce. With my intellect and your stupidity, we will be an unstoppable team. Slip slide ice capades. There, to the sea, I tell you. Our salvation floats upon the briny blue. We must reach Engine's battleship and quickly before it sets sail. But how? Think, Cortex, think. that one picture of him on top and with the whole bit with his ass, it's like, oh. And then boot. Shoot. Hop down and there. Oh, this is when you get to the end. Dingo Dial. So the thing with this bit is that Dingo Dial's actually having a dinner date with Tawna, but we can't see it through this image here. Avalanche. Smash. Hopefully Tawna got out of there in time. I've never been so humiliated. No amount of treasure could begin to compensate. Treasure, aye? Bonza. High seas hijinks. So here we have a different scenario with this. I thought that I would come here in disguise. We don't want to attract the wrong kind of attention. Now that's my kind of woman. From here, I'm assuming what happened here is that, as I could see in the bottom pic, Cortex is bending to pick up a coin, a doubloon that I'm guessing Engine tossed. Swoosh. Boing, boing. I don't remember the dialogue from the cutscene, but Engine's trying to be all like, be my sea bride, and together I shall shower you with riches of the sea. But once he sees the truth of the matter, Dr. Cortex? How very confusing. This is after you defeat Engine to lead up to the Rusty Walrus chase. Splash. He's not happy that Crash survived. Come back here, naughty meat. I'm gonna gut ya. I'm gonna batter you up and gobble you down and burp till I'm happy. The TNT moment. Boom! The rats are leaving the sinking ship. Tell us where the treasure is, and we'll let you go. Silent. Looks like we'll have to wring it out of him. Brio, get changed. And once you defeat them, slam, and back to start. The Academy. You monster, let my brother go. Whew. Kick. My crystals. Ruined, thanks to Perky here. Only one person can fix it now. My niece, Nina Cortex. Of course, I made some adjustments here and there. Quickly, to my airship, and from there we will go to the Academy of Evil. The old alma mater. As a former student, I am well acquainted with the secrets that this institution holds. The boiler room. Cozy, ain't it? Rumor is that you two got your mitts on some treasure, and I want a piece of that pie. I have no idea what you just said. Ah! Yeah. Hang on tight, Crash. Prim. Hits the bell, which makes a loud ringing noise, and it triggers the next class period for the students. Classroom chaos. I'll take it from here. Get back to the airship. Make sure its anchor mooring lines are secure. Oh, I don't remember Cortex's dialogue that well. Oh, sleep tightly, Nina, for there's no need to be afraid. At night. For it is your uncle who is the monster, and he's on your side. Huh? Huh? Ah! Nina, my adorable niece. My, how you've certainly grown big and sneaky. Put her there. Snap! I see they need some adjustments. Let me take a look. Okay, young lady, show me what you have learned. This leads up to the bus moment here. They found us! To the airship! Quickly! Slam. You are in detention. Madam Amberley. So, crybaby Cortex, all grown up. I've seen you found employment as a barber. I'm an evil scientist. A scientist, are we? To me, you will always be nothing but a little worm. And defeat. Twinsanity Island. Bang. Thumbs up. Annoyed. Deep. Okay, here they're being transported and Cortex is hugging on to Crash tightly. Your fur is so soft and warm. Ah! Evil Crash! Swap. Whoosh. Doink. Come back with my daughter niece. We must do something quick. Think, Cortex, think. Boot. Meow. Bandicoot Pursuit. There they are. I like how they're having a tea party. A one-sided tea party. Let her go. Take me instead. Yeah! Which leads to the chase. And once the aftermath of the chase. Nina, you scared me. Oh, give me a hug. I mean, we don't see it here. But she does so, which, because of her strength, it breaks his back. Forget it. Which leads to this. Ain't that just sweet? My mother always told me that a real man's not afraid to show his feelings, and my mother also tells me that men love their cocoa their cocoa bitter and cold. I'm not thirsty. And lastly here, Victor and Moritz's Stronghold of Evil. This is where we right the wrongs and find the riches and sweep the past under the rug. And this is where they find the treasure. I almost forgot. The treasure. Sure. Too late. Our treasure. And there's Entrance. And they're having fun with all the riches and treasures. That treasure is stolen property. It's a little too late to develop a conscience, Doctor. Personally, I don't care. But I think he might want his gems back. Fire breath. And it shows their birdcage. This is why, in the final scene, their birdcage comes to play in the final cutscene. But it turns out their birdcage was secretly a mech in disguise. And it brings up the whole thing. Yellow Gem Extra is the Unseen Gallery, which is essentially the earliest iteration of what Twinsanity was going to be. Crash Bandicoot Evolution. Here we have a three-headed creature. Now, seeing that this is modeled, this implies that some elements from Crash Bandicoot Evolution, which was the original title, some of the elements did make it into the final in some way or form. A sketch of the evil twins. Another sketch of the twins. This is Victor and Moritz's in-game model. However, the difference being is that the upper one is Victor and the bottom one is Moritz, but he's supposed to have a red cape. These cuddly little enemies that were meant to make an appearance in a cut level, which I will talk about when we get there. This is an android, an ant android. A big one, a warrior. This was no doubt a scientist of the ants. It alternates on whenever the big four-armed one was the leader or the scientist was. More concept of the ant androids. Here we have a model of a level area. According to what it says there, it's Balloon City. I can't read the date well, but it dates from what I can read June 12th of 2002. It's very Ratchet and Clank. But that's because originally, when Crash Evolution was being made, it was essentially a Ratchet and Clank game, and that's why they decided to change the concept. Some kind of hovering machinery of some kind. An early sketch of Crash Twinsanity. Yep. Crash Bandicoot and the Black Knight. But this was an old sketch of Crash and what was in Crash Evolution. The Lava Rock Bees. And an in-game model of them. Some sketches of these characters, NPCs, from an aquatic world from Crash Evolution. Strange gargoyle bat creatures. The pink cuddly elephant that's also associated with those enemies I talked about earlier. This was probably the leader of the aquatic world that I mentioned. Evil Coco. An NPC from Crash Evolution. A lava monster, and I'm saying it's a lava monster because of the concept sketch on the right. The Goat King. Another NPC of Evolution. And there's the Ant Android, which again, it was said either he was the leader or the scientist before they decided to make the evil twins the real villain. The androids with some monstrous pets. What I'm assuming is a shuttle of the androids. And some concept sketches of the different leaders that Crash would encounter. Two of them are very human. They might have originally been leaders of the tribe on Insanity Island. A pig. Some plant monsters that were part of that tree level that Nina was going to be on. And the platypus pirate, a cut enemy from High Seas Hijinks. Scarecrows. An alligator enemy from the Cut Harbor level. I'm not sure what you're supposed to be. I'm just going to call you a cat with a jetpack. Some monstrous creature. A squid. And a flying squirrel, or sugar glider, since it's Australia, was either meant to be an enemy or probably just a background element. Cuddly, wobbly teddy bear enemy. Also same in driving cart. And a very cool tortoise concept. Almost there. A tree creature of some kind. A weird frog plant hybrid. Probably was part of the tree level. And a very cool sketch of the evil twins. And lastly, some monster of some kind. Another scarecrow. And the Goat King. The 100% I will play later. Now I am going to talk about all of that cut content in regards to everything. So, where to begin? There is just so much to begin with. Since the earliest was developed around in 2001 and 2002, where, as I said, Twinsanity was originally more of a Ratchet and Clank-esque game called Crash Evolution, in which Crash would have to travel through different planets/dimensions of having to stop the evil twins. A lot of those sketches you've seen, especially in the Yellow Gem Unseen, a lot of those were just characters and NPCs that were part of this. I will find an image showing all of that. In regards to it, one of the big things Crash would have had was a character, a little creature character called Foofy. There's an image of Nina hugging Foofy. Foofy was originally a creature of sorts in which he was part of Crash's moveset. He had his own personality and such, but in the end, Foofy had to be cut out. After the whole concept involving the dimensions were cut out, or at least go into different dimensional worlds, they decided to tweak it a bit, in which instead it would involve traveling to, at least as Cortex says, should have been 2 dimensions, but we ran out of time, but that never came to be either. And so, we have what we have without that, and which we get. Now, starting with Insanity Island, a lot of things were in Insanity Island, but one of these big ones, as you saw, involved an icon showing a tribes boy running away from bugs. This was seen in an early beta of the game, in which, up to the part where you're shown how to body slam the worms, you would have you could have either keep going, or you could have went the other way. If you went the other way, you would have gone through a tunnel in which you would have run away from these little bug scarab creatures. These bug scarab creatures would have chased Crash down, and if you've gotten to the end, you would have been given probably a gem of some kind. Oh, so that's what they were. So I thought the beetles, when we saw the cockroach and beetle in the enemy thing, I thought the big one was just differently textured from Boiler Room. But no, those purple ones are actually the ones that chase Cortex in Classroom Chaos, which, by the way, yeah, after the bug run part was cut out, they at least kept the scarabs to be used in part of Classroom Chaos. Oh, there's just so much that I'm looking at. I don't even have everything organized. I don't even know how I'm going to keep going with this. But one of these things, though, as I keep searching and trying to get my facts straight here, I did say I was on doing Insanity Island first. So what were some other concepts they had to change or tweak in regards to that? Well, one of them that I'll talk about involves Crunch and Fake Crash, and more specifically the boat, Kapu Kapu. That sketch where Crash was on the boat spinning away the piranhas, that was part of a mini game that the idea is as you're spinning away the fish, you would have gotten a bonus out of it. Once you've spinned enough fish and whatever, you would have gotten this humorous little scene that would have shown Crunch and Fake Crash on a small, tiny island, and they would have been attacked by these piranhas. Very funny little goofy thing for that. Let's see. There was that, the Iceberg Lab and such. With Iceberg Lab, specifically the Ice Climb level, the Ice Climb level had its own unique theme instead of using the Iceberg Lab theme, Ice Climb had its own unique theme. While it was cut and unused in the end, you could still hear it within the game's files, which, here, take a listen to it. yeah, so with that, it was changed up a bit. And then as we get past Slip Slide Ice Capades, we get to High Seas Hijinks. In one of the earlier builds and betas for the game, it was really completely revamped and redone that I just can't even explain it. You can look these up yourself, really, to see. But one thing I know that they did was Engine's boss fight was completely different in that, which instead of having to trick him into throwing TNTs to destroy the support beams to his crow's nest, you would have had to spin back missiles to redirect at him. Also, Engine does have a boss icon. It's right here. Probably had to remove it because you're not trying to damage him directly. The fight with Brio and Cortex in Trophy was quite different in the beta as well, in which Brio does have an attack where he slams onto the ice flow and he's trying to get to slide you into his mouth. But TNTs would also rain from the sky, and you had to try and push these TNTs in order for Brio to eat them and get blown up by them to hurt him. And now, after you've done that, and once you've gotten past that part and a lot of that other nonsense, speaking of nonsense, we have a very infamous, and I do say infamous, cut level from Twinsanity, Gone a Bit Coco. According to this level would have been as seen in a deleted scene in which after getting zapped by the Psychotron, it would have opened a portal inside Coco's mind, in which Cortex would have to go in to retrieve information that only she knows. Whatever this information is, we don't know exactly. It would have been a pastel color, just very cutesy, over-the-top stuff, in which Cortex would enter town, a little town. Cortex had to get to the windmill that was near the end of town. From there, he would have been attacked by very cutesy creatures and teddy bears and pink elephants. The teddy bears with lollipops would actually redirect and would reflect Cortex's attacks, so you had to use a charge blast to destroy them and to disarm them. Here's some images in regards to Gone a Bit Coco. Such a fun level idea, but too bad it never got to be used. There's also concept storyboard art of Nina going into the level as well. According to it, it's that Nina would have to go back into Coco's mind to get her unfrozen, I guess. The reason that they had to cut this level was that it was, at the time when they were making it, it was incomplete when it was getting close to release date, but more importantly, the level was turning out very buggy and glitchy, which made it near unplayable, so sadly, they had to cut it out for that reason alone. However, despite all this, even though nothing was used in the end, one enemy from the pink elephant with the sailor hat would be used in Crash on the Run as a mini-boss. Only people who know... It's funny how the pink elephant is only known to those who know about the cut content of Twinsanity. It surprised even me. And I don't even play Crash on the Run. I don't have it. Such a cool idea, though, that they did that. Speaking of cut levels, some other ones that I wanted to talk about. Oh boy, I have to sort through a lot of these. Another cut level that they had was called Ocean Commotion. there's a concept sketch of Coco in a submarine being attacked by an octopus. There were two versions of this, but apparently the main idea was that Coco would have been able to go through the ocean to find the evil twins' vice versa reversa device, which then would have led to Mecca Bandicoot destroying it. It also may or may not be connected to the canyon chase level with Cortex and Crash on the hoverboard. For the Academy of Evil, there were quite a few things that were changed. One bit, at least with Boiler Room Doom, is its music. Just have a listen. Although that music was briefly played in the credits, the music had to be changed for obvious reasons. Plus, there's apparent Boiler Room 2 underwent a major revamp. According to its data, there's apparently it was completely remade because you could find traces of the older version in the game's files. So, like, certain sound effects have old boiler next to new boiler. After Boiler Room after Boiler Room with Cortex Chaos, what am I saying? Classroom Chaos, there were quite a few segments and ideas with Classroom Chaos with the Academy of Evil. One of these concepts would have involved a potential soccer sequence in which Cortex would have to run away from the student players trying to play. Another idea is during Cortex's segment is that as Cortex is passing by the classrooms, he would be able to overhear lessons in progress. And these lessons would be spelling, geography, English, French, Spanish, needlework, cookery, and the school counselor's office. Text for it still remains within the game's files. But the audio, however, there is audio recording of it, which again, you'd have to look up online. The same also goes to I believe, the audio for Gone a Bit Coco. Speaking of that, here's another old theme for there's another old theme for Classroom Chaos, so take a listen. This old theme was used in the game's trailer, at least, but it was just too fast-paced and energetic for such a level. Rooftop Rampage, it doesn't have a lot of interesting things to bring up on, but I did mention how at least there was gargoyle enemies that weren't in the final, but they were in one of the betas. Twinsanity Island, the 10th dimension, had so many interesting ideas that they unfortunately had to cut from the end. So many fun ones, though. One of the earliest ideas is that the moment that Cortex and Crash would have stepped into the 10th dimension, it would have reversed their psychologies. Basically, Crash would have become evil Crash, while Cortex would have become good. It was during this bit, while Cortex is freaking out about becoming good, and evil Crash gives him a slap, that's when Cortex realizes there's a way to fix this. He has to more or less be hurt. And so they have to prepare the rehab lab for this. Please prepare the rehab lab, which would have led to a segment on which the idea with rehab lab is it was similar to the parts where you have to protect Cortex, but instead this was the opposite. You had to hurt him and get him angry to snap him back to normal, though you had to try to not kill him at least. Another idea with the 10th dimension was that upon entering, they would have been greeted by good Cortex, who was a separate character. The joke that makes this scene funny is that before entering, Cortex warns Crash and Nina that they must not in any way do anything that could potentially, make the universe collapse on itself, sort of thing. But upon killing good Cortex, that's when he's like, oh, nothing happened. Forget I said anything. So many things, like I said, and I don't have enough data for this video, unfortunately. But another thing I can mention, and especially with cut levels and such, I forgot to mention a few other ones. One level, which would have been taken place before the cutscene on which Cortex remembers everything, the idea was that in order to figure out who the evil twins were, since they knew Cortex at least, Crash would have had to gone inside Cortex's mind in order to find the information. He would have fought off little miniature Cortexes, but one of the best parts about it was that the whole level theme was a song sung by Cortex called Take a Trip Inside My Brain. I don't think there's lyrics for it, and even if there are lyrics, they're hard to find. I think Lex Lang himself said he never got the chance to record it, but it would have been hilarious if that was the case. Again, so many cut concepts, so many things to explain about. I just cannot explain all of them in one video for myself. There are many other people who can do a better job at it, so really, if you ever want to know, just look them up on YouTube. You'll find people who have better detailed explanations of these things than I do. So, enough of that. How about we just see what 100% is?
Okay, now, the two of you have been asked to begin these therapy sessions so that we can work through the conflict apparent in your relationship. This week we're going to do a trust exercise. Cortex, let's start with you. I would like you to fold your arms over your chest, close your eyes, and fall backwards. Okay, Crash, your job is easy. Just catch Cortex as he falls. We want Dr. Cortex here to know that he is in a safe place.
I don't think this is going to work. He's an idiot. I don't even like him, let alone trust him. It's just that I have a fear of falling. Okay, fine. Let's do the silly exercise. I'm in a safe place. I'm in a safe place. I'm in a safe place. Oh, how I hate bandicoots.
What makes this funny is that this scene was not included in the Japanese or European versions of the game, though I do think it was added in a later version. I do think. I don't know. I don't remember, because like I said, I am running out of things. There's just so much to talk about that I can't possibly do it in one video, mostly because I don't know if I'll be able to have enough data for it. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop here. If I'm missing anything, don't worry. You don't have to tell me that, oh, you forgot to mention this or that. Really, I know as much as the next Crash player does about Twinsanity and its cut content. But let me just say that there's people who say they want a remake or remaster of Twinsanity with its cut content restored. And my thoughts on that? I honestly don't think it's needed, because it would make the original Twinsanity lose its special uniqueness because of that. And plus, if it were to have happened and you did get it, you did get your Twinsanity that had everything in it. Okay, are you happy now? Can you truly be happy with it? Or will you still have a soft spot for the original? You know, it's one of those sort of things. But whatever your thoughts are on Twinsanity, we'll all agree that it is a very special Crash game to many of us. So, that will do for this episode of Crash Twinsanity. I hope you enjoyed the series, because I certainly had fun. I'm glad there weren't too many wacky hijinks with glitches, but we had a few that really caught me off guard there. So as for what my next game will be, you're kind of looking at it. And it's also going to be what's going to end the video as my in slate. So that is it. I will see you guys in the next one.
In the Dragon Realms, all is not well. The fallen dragon, Red, is using the dark gems to poison the life of the world. 5 heroes must fight the forces of evil. Spyro, Hunter, Sergeant Bird, Sparks, and the newest comrade, Blink. Now is the time. Let the battle commence. Spyro, a hero's tale. The adventure has begun. Rated E for everyone.